So for Forward, we our customer base is varying from domestic forwarders, international forwarders. We work with 3PLs, airlines, ocean providers, even down to direct shippers. We cover 99% of the US population. We go into Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Alaska, and Hawaii. And from that transaction count on the pickup and delivery side, we're running now about 2.6 million transactions a year. We have 111 terminals throughout the United States, the vast majority of those being internal company locations. We also do have an agent network of people representing us and meeting our standards out there. For our pickup and delivery fleet, our internal fleet, we run a little over 1,200 pickup and delivery drivers. And then again, we have that vast partner network giving us the flexibility in some markets to scale up, scale down as needed. So prior to going down the NuViz path, we really started our pickup and delivery as a bolt-on to our line haul airport to airport service. At that time, almost all of it was handled through our agent partners, and they would update our website and portal with required milestones. So the experience from a customer before would be, Forward would do the transportation into a market. We'd hand it off to a delivery partner inside of the market, and then they would update the internal Forward Air portal with the statuses you'd expect, out for delivery, delivered, and then finally upload the proof of delivery. Through some acquisitions, and around the 2014 timeline, we really started pulling a lot of that back in-house and doing our own internal pickup and delivery. At that time, some of the companies that we acquired, it was a lot of paperwork, it was a lot of manual, and even down to dispatching out of the AS400, which there's definitely some challenges there when you're not looking at something built around dispatch. You're looking at something just built around raw data. So as we started doing our own and dispatching out of that AS400 system, the challenges we saw were we were very reliant on manual process, pieces of paper, and tribal knowledge inside of a building. And what that really created for us was not a scalable solution where we could get bigger, a high risk of losing a person that person was the only person that could build viable routes inside of a market. And so at that time, we knew we had to find a robust dispatch platform if we were going to scale this out to all of our locations. We were providing a good service, but like I alluded to there, it was a very manual service and it just was not scalable. So again, when we decided to pull this internal instead of just using agents to complete that final mile delivery, at that time, if it wasn't dispatched on a piece of paper, if a person didn't know, we were looking for better route productivity. We were putting things in, well, this one has to be there by noon, and then I guess drive across town and take care of this one because it has to be there by 1. We were looking for a technology solution that would lessen the learning curve of putting in a new dispatcher or even launching a brand new market. With the technology solution, I need people that can use a platform instead of being a 20-year, tenured dispatcher that can build a viable route for you. So, and not only that, when we do rely on the paper or even the manual inputs into our web portal, none of that's real time. And so what we wanted to provide for our customers is real-time solution, more milestones that gives them what they need to feed back to their ultimate customer. Some visibility of the pictures, hard copy PODs, locations of the drivers. So both internal and external solutions, what we're looking for. We wanted to be better as a productive company that met the customer's expectation, and we want to hand off the milestones that lets our customers provide a product that their customers will buy. So again, we knew we needed something. We knew that we weren't going to use paperwork in AS400. Let's just be honest. We were looking for a technology solution. We did try some other platforms. We did our due diligence and test some other ones, and really we landed on NuViz for a couple reasons. NuViz offered us a configurable solution to meet our needs. Um, it we look at the change management piece, which we'll certainly get into, but we wanted something that we felt we could roll out to a massive company into multiple markets, that it would be embraced quickly. Um, speed was absolutely part of it. We wanted a user-friendly environment where the training curve wasn't as sharp. And what we really needed was some kind of map-based routing. As we started up some of these newer locations that did not have a 20-year dispatcher, we needed them to build efficient routes with just technology visibility. And so through all those were the minimum requirements going in. I think NuViz got the upper hand on, and I'll throw it out there a couple of times. It's partnership, and it really does feel like that. The people that I've worked with on the NuViz side, they want my company to be successful so that we can work on a solution together. And I really do feel that even this far down the line. So we launched, we did a scaled launch of NuViz 2016. So we're approaching 8 years now with the product. I'll start by saying we did some really good testing, so I do believe we knew what we were jumping into. So not a lot of surprises. That's both, on the positive side and the negative side. So I didn't see a lot of curveballs, if you will. But what we did realize very quickly is even when I allude to those seasoned dispatchers, been doing it for 20 years, they know the market better than anybody. When we get into the NuViz and we work on the route optimization, boy, that one really put us to the next level. We got multiple more stops per day out of drivers. We were able to, meet the time commitments from customers, and really NuViz gave us that real-time ETA visibility to say, well, you know what? If I launch now, I can actually go two things before this appointment time. Whereas before we may have been pretty reliant on go here first because I don't want to miss that appointment. So the route optimization and the real-time ETAs, that was a huge upside to us. And then because we jumped in, a while ago, we didn't know that it was solving some problems that were going to come up for us. So, customers were going to come to us and say, hey, if you want to continue to do business for us, we're going to need that image. We're going to need a picture of it on the doorstep, right? When we started with NuViz, I didn't know that was going to be a requirement. And then by the time it became a requirement, NuViz already had a solution for us. So those would be the surprises, and most of those surprises absolutely were pleasant ones. Yeah, the ease to build an efficient route is the best takeaway that we have today. We just, as we scaled up, as we went from the 500,000 to million to 2 million transactions, it's scalable. And you can look at that map and you can make the efficient routes. It can be your first day inside of a market. I travel around a lot with the company. There's places that I've never been to before. You could put me in that chair and build some viable routes for a market, just based on the technology solution instead of having to know much geographics or even customer base for that market. From forward, we've obviously seen that growth as well. But what I really look for on the NuViz platform is how many internal orders. So that's been the biggest change for us. So obviously the growth is there, but what we've done with this platform is before we would give this off to one of our partner providers. They'd enter the statuses through our web portal. It'd be seamless to the end user, but we would really hand that off to an agent. With the NuViz platform, that instead of being 10% that we handled our own, we're up to 85% of our transactions now are handled on one of our NuViz dispatch trucks. So that's been the biggest growth piece for us, is we've pulled in the zip codes, the market coverage. We launched NuViz as a test in 2 markets, and we then scaled up to running NuViz into 71 of our markets. Absolutely. I mean, we touched on it a bit on why we picked NuViz, and I fully support that. I toss around the word partnership a lot as we're talking about the product there, but that is honestly what it feels like. I know the NuViz team wants me to be successful. It's not just, hey, I want you to continue to be a customer of ours. It's what can we work on together to be better. On the NuViz side, I've 24/7 customer support. I've never not gotten a response back. I know you've got, stateside support, you've got overseas support, and it doesn't really matter what time of day it is. I have dispatchers that are putting routes together at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have dispatchers that are, doing that activity late into the evening. And we always have a path. We have a clear escalation path even beyond just the general support. So 8 years into it, we're still having every other week support calls. Those calls being talking through any challenges, talking through enhancement requests, or even just getting clarity of what's in scope for the product. Because I will say the other thing, NuViz, it's a different product than what I jumped into 8 years ago, and it's evolving to meet, its customers' need, which is me, and then it's evolving so that I can meet my customers' needs as we go on. As you look at the customer base, and we touched on a little bit, but the expectations every year are higher and higher, and that's really what it is. There's a comfort factor for some people. They've been using XYZ agent in a market. I know Dan, the dispatcher, and he always answers the phone. That's not scalable. What we're looking for now is, as the volume increases, as our customer base goes out there, they need real-time information. That is the expectation here. They need to know that this order has went out for delivery. They need to know that this order has an ETA between 1 and 1:30 this afternoon. They need the visibility of this has delivered so they can get that information back to their customer. And then even, we look at the exception piece of it, which nobody wants to talk about the exception piece, but when it does happen, it is, okay, there's detention on this order, but I now have the visibility of, okay, here's when the driver pulled into the parking lot, here's when the driver left the parking lot. If there's discrepancies on the condition of the freight, we can always fall back to the image that's there. Here's a picture of what it looked like when we dropped it off. The location of the goods, we're getting notification that this has been misdelivered or potentially written to the wrong address. Those breadcrumb trails back to the driver, the information that we have to, I shouldn't say defend ourselves, but to, concretely state this is what happened with your order. So that's the back end exception management, along with just the real-time updates. That is the requirement now. And NuViz gives me each of those milestones, even more than I need on those milestones, to provide our customers what they need to sell that ultimate service. I'd go down two paths. So first, on the change management part, you're going to look, is the product user friendly? That's where we have to start all of this, right? There's going to be training. We've put together manuals, we've put together SOPs and process, but you first got to look at, is the technology solution that you're selecting for your company, is it user friendly? If I logged into the portal for the first time, would I be completely lost, or would I know what I'm looking at? The same even goes to the change management piece of your driver base. I think that's even the harder curve here. There's drivers that have been doing it a very long time, and some drivers are used to carrying around a clipboard and getting a signature on a piece of paper and going. We need to make sure that when I hand them a mobile app and a new solution there, that again, that's scalable to that driver base. And NuViz has checked both those boxes for us. So the user friendly of the portal, the user friendliness of the mobile app, that's where we start, and that's where we know that this isn't a 6-month glide path to say, here's when you'll be comfortable with it. It's much quicker than that, just by system design. Then the other piece is, we talked about the multiple markets that we have. If you're a larger company looking at this for your solution, NuViz has been hand in hand with us on a scaled launch. And I think that's the right approach there. So, your company here, NuViz platform, we were able to not even just original launch, but even through some major enhancement, we can take on, okay, this market's going live, this market's going live, and we can really climb that ladder instead of just a hard cutover in one weekend. I think that really, really helps us. It helps us know some items that maybe we didn't think about for the launch. We turn on 2 markets, we get a little feedback, and I could take you through our last scaled launch of the product through enhancement. We were able to, even from the first time through the changes in the system, through some upgrades there, you really could turn on 2 markets, give it a week and make sure that's good, launch 5 more markets, make sure you're good, and then launch the rest of the field after that. And those are kind of the steps that we took. So on the change management side, kudos to NuViz for allowing me to go with a scaled launch of the product. Good question. Like I said, we've been into it for 8 years now, and I don't see us hunting, pivoting to another one. But if someone's considering, the product today, what I would start with, I would tell you definitively that NuViz wants your company to be successful. So if I was going down that path with NuViz, I'd be very clear going to NuViz and really just describing what are your challenges today. That's where I'd start. The company is likely already looking for a more robust solution. Let them know what you want to accomplish. What are your challenges today? What is the minimum requirements that you want to solve? Get that in their hands and let them, put their case together. Here's how we can solve that. I would also really just highly recommend that you listen to what else NuViz has to offer. So I'm confident going into it. You're going to hand off that checklist and say, these are the problems I want to solve. NuViz is going to give you the check mark and say, yep, we can provide you this, 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 and this. I would tell them to look beyond their minimum requirements, really listen what NuViz has to offer, because you're going to find additional tools that you're not thinking of today that's going to make your company better. So that's how I'd approach it.